Good day, everyone, and welcome to Different Stages Radio. I'm your host, JJ, broadcasting from Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. And on today's show, we have for you rising Canadian Venezuelan guitarist who just released his brand new album, Textures, on August 15th. Please welcome my guest, Francisco Meza. How are you, sir?
Doing really well. Thank you, JJ, for having me.
Yeah, thanks for making the time and taking the time. And love your shirt, by the way. You definitely
Thank
decked
you.
out today.
Yeah, good taste, I guess.
Oh, very good taste. Yeah, you're speaking to a very big Opeth fan too, so I'm sure we can maybe have some side conversations
For
about
sure.
about them as well. But yeah, you just released a brand new album. I just discovered you recently. I'm really digging what I'm hearing. I'm feeling that there's perhaps a lot of other people around the globe, not just in Canada, that perhaps haven't heard of you yet, and that's why I thought I'd reach out to you and see what we can do about getting you some exposure and getting your music out to the people. So what can you tell people about yourself and your background?
Sure. I'm a self-taught musician and self-taught, recording engineer. I master my own albums and I do it everything myself. It's something that I discovered back in 2009. I was entering into a Guitar World magazine competition online. It was called Shred the Web, and it was right when YouTube was, becoming very popular. And at the same time, not many people have had accounts to YouTube. And so, when you reach like 1,000 views, 7,000 views, it was like a big deal, right? And so, you started posting covers of, the music that you love. And at some point, I decided to just post a song that I had written, ways back or many years ago. And I discovered, Easy Drummer application where you can just program your own drums. They sounded pretty realistic at the time, and they still do. I think they sound amazing, really. They just keep getting better and better. And so the tools were there for you to do your own stuff at your own pace, not to worry about getting together with other, like-minded musicians. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but it gives you, if you're creative or you're exploring that side of you, it gives you that freedom to just make mistakes and learn as you go. And so the competition really went well. I actually ended up winning the competition in 2008 Shred the Web contest by Guitar World. And I had amassed a good number of view and subscribers at the time. And because of that competition, and it just kind of propelled me to explore that side and continue writing and posting videos of the music that I was writing. Eventually ended up with 8 songs, and I said, let's just put an album out. How do I do it by myself? So you start, figuring out what are the distribution methods for do-yourself artists, really. So it was very new at the time, I think, for a lot of people, for me certainly. But out of that, a lot of new artists came out. You post your stuff on guitar forums, whether it's the John Petrucci forum or Les Paul forums, and so things just started snowballing after that, and I kept on doing it. It's a good way to express yourself in a risk-free environment where you're basically your own boss. And so if you make it and it sounds good, you pat yourself in the back, and if it sucks, then you're the only one to blame. So that's why I really like doing things the way I do.
And that way it doesn't really slow you down. You can keep the momentum going, and as ideas come into place, you can just implement it pretty much straight away with nothing
Correct.
back. Yeah.
And vice versa, right? If you are just not feeling it and you just want to hit the delete button and just start over again, there's really no pressure. So you just do it at your own pace. And yeah, I really like doing this by myself. And it's a great way to express myself. And then I also have some tribute bands that takes me out of my house and play outside and also in a risk-free environment, right? Because you're playing other people's music, something that you just love doing. So I guess I get the best of both worlds, which is just creating at my own pace and then going out and playing and hanging out with my buddies and whatnot whenever possible.
Well, tell us about those tribute things. Now you got curiosity hitting. So what's going on there?
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, I play in a band called My Favorite Headache, which is a Rush tribute band, and I also play in a Guns N' Roses band called Gunslingers. We have actually upcoming shows. This Saturday, we're playing at the Regent Theater in Oshawa for Guns N' Roses, and then we're playing at the Stephen Leacock Theater in Keswick, Ontario, October 5th for My Favorite Headache.
Good for
So
you.
just a little plug there. Thank you for
Yeah, no,
that.
that's good. Now, any of these guys that you play in these bands with allow you to perhaps have the ability to do any of your own material in a live setting? Like, have you done any live showcases of your own material?
Not really. No,
No.
no. It's like, yeah, like I said, it's something that I guess from a comfort standpoint, from a risk standpoint, from even like a lifestyle, point, we all have our day jobs, and so we keep that, or at least on my end, I keep it at home, making sure that, or just simply creating music, distributing it, and having people listen to whoever feels like it. Really, I like to keep it that way.
So is it maybe a goal though at some point to maybe at least have the chance to bring it live, or you're like you said, you're just comfortable keeping it at the level that it's at?
I think I'm comfortable keeping it at the level that it's at. It would be nice, but yeah, it's not a priority at the moment.
If perhaps the chips fall into place a certain way, maybe at some point, never say never, but it's not a focus for you
Correct.
now.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now with Textures, this is, I guess, technically your third full album, and you have
That's
three
right.
EPs as well, and multiple singles along the way.
Yep.
Where can people find stuff? Because is it only digital? Is there any plans of any physical product?
So I've had release physical product before by way of CDs. That was back in 2009 and 12. Actually, in 9, 11, and 12. So for the first two albums and the first EP, I had physical copies. Those are no longer available. So whoever has them, good for you. Or maybe it's someone's coaster in their coffee table or
Yeah,
whatever. I don't know. But it's all good. Thank you for purchasing it. And but no, right now it's all digital.
all digital. Okay.
Yeah.
And so is any plans so maybe of doing some physical again, or you just once again you're content where it's at?
Yeah, who knows? It depends on what the demand is. Doing something like a vinyl would be awesome. And I collaborate with a very good friend of mine called Felix Tapia, and he's an art director in Mexico, and he's created pretty much every cover. And so I'm sure it would be an awesome project to work with him to do like a full sleeve for an album or like a vinyl. That would be great. That would be something that I would be very interested in doing. But like everything, you study what the demand is and make that decision. Um, Back when it was CD days and people still bought them, it was pretty cool. So yeah, working again with Felix on that to do something extended with the artwork would be really cool.
Nice, nice. So once again, back to Textures came out last month, August 15th. People that aren't familiar with you, reading up a bit about how you wanted to allow for a lot of space on this record, and that's something that I was feeling straight away that I just love that it's like you could almost kind of write lyrical content to these songs too. Like it's I I'm trying to find weird ways of steering fans to you without trying to pull them away, that it's not just a shred fest, even though there's
Yeah.
quality, tasteful playing, but I love the space. And that seems that that's very
Thank
important
you.
to you.
Yes, thank you very much for noticing that.
Yeah.
And compared to other work that I've done or my previous work, I purposely wanted to have something that it's listen. I don't want to say easy listening, but it's something that you can sort of put on and it's in the background, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, what was that, right? And you kind of have to go back because it's like you said, it's not a mindless shredding fest. That's not what I wanted to do. And I'm, if there's nothing wrong with shredding, like I obviously love it and I've done my share of it to my capacity, but I really wanted something that flowed from song to song really well. I wanted to focus on, no pun intended, textures, and just the different ways that you can make sounds with the guitar. So there's no keyboards, there's nothing like that, nor there's no sampling, but there's a lot of like ambience reverbs. There's a lot of octave, ups and down octaves, octavers, I mean pedals, just to create weird stuff that I've never done before. So I'm not recreating the wheel in any way, but at least for me, it was a new way of doing things. And I think it's reflected in the music. It's a little bit more mellow, with some good intense parts, but at the end, like you said, something that it wasn't really focusing on shredding. It was really focusing on more of a song without lyrics. And hopefully, and I convey that, and it seems like I did, at least to your ear. So I appreciate that.
Oh, definitely, yeah, because the tone right away is a comforting tone, yet there are some of those licks underneath that is definitely going to appeal to maybe the shred guy, but it's not so abrasive, and I was
Yeah.
digging that. So the first run through, when I'm listening to it, I get to a point when we talk about flow on the album, and all of a sudden I'm like, hey, why do I know this? And so I started humming. I'm like, I've never heard your album before. How do I know this? And all of a sudden I'm humming the solo to Rest in Peace
Yes.
in
Thank
my
you.
head. And I'm like, how did that even happen? So all of a sudden
Yeah.
I'm thinking, I haven't heard your record before. We're talking about
Yeah.
Extreme. He's doing some tasteful Nuno solo there, and just talking
Yeah.
about flow, how it just fits in so subtly, but yet perfectly.
Yeah, thank you for noticing that.
Yeah, the
That
Extreme
was
Nuno is
a
the best.
nugget that I put there for the Nuno fans, and is a tip of the hat to a great guitar player for sure. And yeah, so totally, that was the intention, with that song in particular. As soon as I started writing the acoustic part, it's like this. I know where this is going, and I need to put a little nugget to as a tribute to the man, right? So yeah, no, awesome. Thank you for noticing that.
Yeah,
Great.
no, and that's the thing, is that it goes back to being so subtle, and just the
Yeah.
flow. It's perfect. So I'm like, oh, you jerk! This is so awesome.
That's cool, man.
And having
Awesome.
just seen Extreme a couple of weeks ago, I'm like, well, the timing's just perfect.
Yeah, I'm going this Friday. They're just playing close by. So yeah,
Oh,
we'll see.
you wait. You're just going to be,
Yeah,
yeah, it's a whole lot of wrong. You're going to enjoy it big
awesome,
time. So clearly you're a
awesome.
Nuno fan. Who else can you pimp that's been a big influence to you, perhaps when you first started to pick up the guitar? Because you said you were self-taught, which is incredible. So maybe some people that got you interested in picking up the guitar, and perhaps some
Yeah,
people currently that are getting you to keep wanting to play.
sure. It all started with Guns N' Roses for me. As a kid, seeing Slash and the things that he could do, that was obviously right there. I want a Les Paul, and, and then you find out how much that money there is. Like, there's no way. But I kept on dreaming. So then I have a few now. So it started from there, and it went many directions. So I'm a lover of various types of music, all the way from the hard rock to the death metal, and everything in between. And currently, I'm an Opeth fan. That's really where I pick a lot of my inspirations. Songs like Moonlit Night from my current album definitely inspire in like the mellow stuff from Opeth, and even stuff like that you can pick up from the song The End, also in that album, the Texture album, very much inspiring in stuff like Blackwater Park, at least snippets of it. So that's really where like currently I cannot get enough of Opeth. And from instrumentals, Russian Circles, Long Distance Calling, those are two amazing instrumental bands that I recommend to everyone.
There you go. You like Substance. I'm thinking you like some fusion too. I have a feeling you're a bit of a fusion guy too, no? Or
I got a period back in the 90s where I was listening to a lot of Niacin. That was
hmm,
a band by
was she in?
Billy Sheehan
Yeah,
and Bill Bruford, and Bill Bruford, right? I think so.
Dennis Chambers.
Oh, Dennis Chambers, thank you,
Yeah,
Dennis
yeah, no
Chambers.
problem.
And so anyway, I got into a period where I listened to some of that stuff, but not currently. Yeah, that's pretty intricate. I think I'm my neurons are not as they used to be.
It's okay, but I feel that that's where some of that respect to space that you have, perhaps maybe subtly, unknowingly, comes from, is bands like Nice, and then
Yeah,
of course with with how Opeth have developed over the years as well, being able to leave that space and dynamics and textures, always back to textures.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's awesome. So where can people get the record?
Sure. Anywhere,
Yeah.
everywhere they can stream music. You can also get it or download the files from iTunes if you still use that. I personally use them. But the best preferred method is Bandcamp. Bandcamp.com supports the artist. So if you are big into supporting artists directly, that's the best way. Not only because the artist gets the most benefit out of it, but also you as a consumer can get the audio as it was recorded in the best audio format and quality possible. So if you are an audiophile, if you and you know you're okay with electronically obtaining your music, Bandcamp is the way to go. And I can be found at bandcamp.com, Francisco Meza Music.
And we'll be sure at the end of this video to have a nice caption of the album cover along with a link to purchase it directly from Bandcamp. And if you don't mind pimping again, your show's coming up this weekend. You have your tributes happening. Is it this weekend you said?
Yeah, so there's one in Oshawa, Ontario happening, and that's for the Guns N' Roses tribute band. And October 5th for My Favorite Headache, the Rush tribute band in Caithcart, Ontario at the Stephen Leacock Theatre. Links and to tickets to those shows are all in my social media. You can find me in Instagram, Facebook, YouTube at Francisco Meza Music.
And also at Francisco Meza Music on YouTube, you can also see a bunch of your old, I shouldn't say they're old, but your
Oh yeah,
tribute playing and so forth, where you're doing some, I saw some of those Metallica covers, which are great.
for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, and that's like I said, that's where everything started. Back in 2008, when Death Magnetic came out, I put a couple of covers, and lucky enough that Lars Ulrich actually saw the covers. He has a video on YouTube where he mentions my name, saying, you know, the covers that I play. So thank you, Lars. You drove so much traffic back then, and I appreciate that. So, you know, I never got a thank you to out of him. So anyways, for what's worth, here it is.
That's huge, though. That's massive and good
It
for you.
was, it was huge.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so don't forget about textures. Don't forget about Francisco Meza. And thanks for supporting Different Stages Radio, and all the best to you. And hopefully we'll maybe get together down the road and talk about your next release and future shows.
Sounds good, man. Thank you so much, AJ. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you very much. This is Different Stages Radio.